Hi, it's Kurt Orloff. Again, talking about the oil industry, this time the importance of pipelines. Pipelines are instrumental in the oil industry because you got to move the product. You can move it by sea, which is very expensive, very elaborate. And don't forget, every one of those freighters or tankers needs to be insured. And one of the sanctions against Russia is we don't allow Europeans aren't insuring them. So Russians move their oil from a Russian ship to a foreign ship that can be insured. You can't go through the Suez Canal without insurance, proof of insurance. The pipelines, we fought Saddam Hussein for two reasons, not because of weapons of mass destruction, which is a typical government propaganda. You can't go to war without propaganda and get the populace all whooped up over it. So that was the propaganda lie. But the big one was Saddam Hussein was going to denominate his oil in euros. We can't have that. We need the petrodollar. And there's fight over two different pipelines from the Mideast to markets in Eastern Europe. Saddam Hussein had an idea of one pipeline through Iraq and into Turkey, and another pipeline through the Emirates in the other side of the Persian Gulf. So that was two reasons why we fought Saddam Hussein. Of course, the pipeline in the Baltic that was sabotaged, that was a big issue. Because the former prime minister of Germany got on the board of the pipeline company, and Merkel was all for it. She was prime minister of Germany, and so we cut off that supply from Russia to Germany. Yeah, well, actually, that part of Western Europe. We helped win World War II because of two pipelines from Texas to the East Coast. It was called Big and Little Pipeline. It was very important to supplying Patton's Third Army with oil, diesel. And you remember a few years ago, Russian hacked that the pipeline that went the same direction from Texas to the East Coast, and it pretty much infringed upon commerce, the whole economy on the East Coast. Gas stations shut down. That was just IT hacking. So that showed how vulnerable we are and how the importance of pipelines. Like the pipeline that Joe Biden suspended operations on, that was going to go from Canada to Houston. Well, you got to refine the product. So, but that was just the last few hundred miles of it. And everyone, the environmentalists, were so enamored that Joe Biden did that. There's 1 million pipelines in the United States. So if you looked at all the pipelines in the United States, it just looks like a giant spaghetti bowl. You wouldn't even notice that pipeline. But nothing happens until the news reports on it, so it was big in the news. Of course, there was the Alaskan pipeline, which a lot of environmentalists were against. It turned out to be quite beneficial. The caribou hung around it because it was warm, and it did its job moving Alaskan oil to Port Valdez and generally to Japan. Until the United States wasn't allowed to export oil. Now it is allowed. And I don't know if Biden prevented the export of crude oil I don't know if he did or didn't, but I think we can export crude oil to foreign markets. So pipelines are exceedingly important, and it's just all part of the amazing industry, the amazing oil industry, from a product that Mother Nature creates in the ground to powering the world. It's a lot of steps are involved, and one of those steps are pipelines.